hear a story? I have a good one for you today. It's a classic. You may have heard it before. It's called The Golden Touch. It's adapted from its original by Nathaniel Hawthorne, one of my favorite authors. Once upon a time, there lived a very rich king whose name was Midas. The more gold he had than anyone else in the whole world, but for all that, he thought it was not enough. He was never so happy as when he happened to get more gold to add to his treasure. He stored it away in great vaults underneath his palace, and many hours of each day were spent counting it. Now King Midas had a little daughter named Marigold. He loved her devotedly and said, "She will be the richest princess in all the world." But little Marigold cared nothing about it all. She loved her garden, her flowers, the golden sunshine that all her father's riches. She was a lonely little girl most of the time, for her father was so busy planning new ways to get more gold and counting what he had that he seldom told her stories or went for walks with her, as all the fathers should do. One day King Midas was down in his treasure room. He had locked the heavy doors and opened up this great chest of gold. He piled it on the table and handled it as he loved the touch of it. He let it slip through his fingers and smiled at the clank of it as it had been sweet music. Suddenly a shadow fell over the heap of gold. Looking up, he saw a stranger dressed in shining white smiling down at him. King Midas stared up in surprise. Surely he had not failed to lock the door. His treasure was not safe, but the stranger continued to smile. "You have much gold, King Midas," he said. "Yes," said the king, "but I think how little there is of all the gold there is still left in the world." "What? Are you not satisfied?" asked the stranger. "Satisfied," said the king. "Of course I'm not. I often lie awake through the long night planning new ways to get more gold. I wish that everything I touch would turn to gold." "Do you really wish that, King Midas?" "Of course I wish it. Nothing could make me so happy." "Then you shall have your wish. Tomorrow morning, when the first rays of sun fall through your window, you shall have the golden touch." When he finished speaking, the stranger vanished. King Midas rubbed his eyes. "It must have been a dream." He said, "I must have dreamed it." He said, "But happy I would be if it were only true." The next morning, King Midas woke. The first light came into his room, and he put his hand and touched the covers of his bed. Nothing happened. He knew it could not be true, he sighed. Just at that moment, the first rays of sun came through the window. The covers on which King Midas had laid his hand became pure gold. "It's true! It's true!" he cried. He cried joyfully. He sprang out of bed and ran around the room, touching everything. His dressing gown, his slippers, the furniture, all became gold. He looked out the window through Marigold's garden. "I'll give her a nice surprise," he said. He went down into the garden, touching all of Marigold's flowers and changing them to be gold. "She will be so pleased," he thought. He went back into his room to wait for his breakfast and took up his book, which he'd been reading the night before. But the minute he touched it, it was solid gold. "I can't read it now," he said. "But of course, it's far better since it's gold." Just then a servant came through the door with the king's breakfast. "Oh, how good it looks," he said. "I'll have that red, ripe peach first of all." He took the peach in his hand, but before he could taste it, it became a lump of gold. King Midas put it back on his plate. "It's very beautiful, but I can't eat it," he said. He took a roll from the plate, but that too became gold. He took a glass of water in his hand, but that too became gold. "What shall I do?" he cried. "I'm hungry and thirsty. I can't eat or drink gold." At that moment, the door was open, and in came little Marigold. She was crying bitterly, and in her hand was one of her roses. "What's the matter, little daughter?" said the king. "Oh, father, See what has happened to all my roses. They're all stiff, ugly things. Why, they're golden roses, child. Do you not think they're more beautiful than they were? No, she sobbed. They do not smell sweet. They won't grow anymore. I like roses that are alive. Never mind, said the king. Eat your breakfast now. But Marigold noticed that her father did not eat, and that he looked very sad. What's the matter, father dear, she said. She ran over to him, and she threw her arms around him, and he kissed her, but he suddenly cried out in terror and anguish when he touched her. Her lovely little face became glittering gold. Her eyes could not see, her lips could not kiss him back again. Her little arms could not hold him close. She was no longer a loving, laughing little girl. She was changed into a golden statue. King Midas bowed his head, and great sobs shook him. Are you happy, King Midas? He heard a voice say. Looking up, he saw the stranger standing near him. Happy? How can you ask? I am the most miserable man living, said the king. You have the golden touch, said the stranger. Is that not enough? King Midas did not look up or answer. Which would you rather have? Food and a cup of cold water, or these lumps of gold, the stranger said. King Midas could not answer. Which would you rather have, O king? That little golden statue, or a little girl who could run and laugh and love you? Oh, give me back my little Marigold, and I'll give up all the gold I have, said the king. I've lost all that was worth having. Ah, you are wiser than you were, King Midas, said the stranger. Go plunge in the river which runs at the foot of your garden. Then take some of its water and sprinkle whatever you wish to change back as it was. The stranger vanished. King Midas sprang up. He ran to the river, he plunged into it, and then he dipped up a pitcher of water and he hurried back to the palace. He sprinkled it over Marigold, and the color came back to her cheeks. She opened her blue eyes again. Why, father, she said, what happened? With a cry of joy, King Midas took her in his arms. Never after that did King Midas care for any gold, except the gold of sunshine and the gold of little Marigold's hair. Wow, that was a nice one. Well, until next time, you take care and be good.